Now, this evening, we're going to be discussing 6 verses. And there's a reason why I'm going very slow. There's 2 reasons. Our acharyas have commented extensively on this, not only our acharyas, but this is a celebrated pastime. And as a result, not only Srimad Bhagavatam verses, but this Purana and that Purana and this source and that source. You're going to have to come around. So this, you'd want to look at this with your phone, Super Soul phone. So these are the verses we're covering. Verses 4 through 10. So the way the chapter is structured is there's a lot in each of the first 3 verses that's covering more than just like action, an event or something. It's setting the scene, like, the 3rd verse was Shukadev Goswami taking the time to calm Maharaj Parikshit, because Maharaj Parikshit was in anxiety. Putana's gone into Vrindavan with the aim to kill Krishna. So he pacified the heart of. So it wasn't even like an event in the pastime. It was just a loving exchange between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Like that. So it's not only just the storyline. And now we're going on. Here's text number 4. And the way that the translation has been presented, K, Chari. One of the verses, move quickly. One of the verses in Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says, I am the sound in ether, Shabda K. So K, K-H-E, is ether or sky. So K, Chari. A K, Chari, is a witch that travels in the sky. We heard about it. I'll say it. I asked our translator for the Chinese group, is there such a thing as witches that travel on broomsticks and have all that? It's in Chinese folklore too. And Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavatam verse that it's still present in northwest India. Witches travel around on broomsticks or broken branches of trees, and they do their thing. So K-Chari, so she's Putana as a K-Chari. She travels in the English translation, wandering in outer space. K-Chari. And Yoshitva. She's a woman, but has some powers to transform her weird-looking Putana features into a very beautiful, and that it helped her get into places where she wouldn't get in otherwise, like private places. She just was so astoundingly beautiful that no one said anything. She just will hear. So those are 2 key words. Putana Nanda Gokulam. Once upon a time, Putana Rakshasi, who could move according to her desire and was wandering in outer space, converted herself by mystic power into a very beautiful woman, and thus entered Gokula, the abode of Nanda Maharaj. So here's the Putana image. Here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. To enact the pastime of killing Putana, Krishna's Leela Shakti inspired Putana to enter Gokula as if invited by death to be killed. She was to be killed. She came with a different mission. With this intention, this verse is spoken. Then, one evening, Putana entered Gokula by flying through the sky. Utpatya. By mystic power, Putana took on the form of a beautiful woman. There's this Yoshitva phrase again. And he continues, all the Vrajvasis were so much enamored by Putana's beauty that they gave her access to all the houses in town. You know, a stranger, and she just walks in. Welcome. Though the Lord's illusory energy has no desire, by the will of the Lord, Putana displayed her illusions, just like a magician, to bewilder the eternal devotees of Vraja and to unfold the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. So she was not just assisted by Krishna's Leela Shakti, but Leela Shakti was conducting the whole affair. I mean, she had a role to play, but she was just part of a drama. That was Leela Shakti's drama. That was Vishwanath's commentary. Here's Jiva Goswami's commentary on this verse. She went at night, according to Parashara and Vaishampayana, flying in the sky. So witches like to travel at night. Now, who's Parashara? Parashara is the father of Vyasadeva. Parashara is the father of Vyasadeva. And Vaishampayana is Vyasadeva. So both persons, that means Parashara Muni is the main speaker in Vishnu Purana. So Vishnu Purana has an account of this whole pastime. So he's the memory that they had of all these different references. When you read their commentaries, they know so much. It's just right at their fingertips. They must have had a big library. Because she was of ferocious demeanor, she transformed herself into not just a woman, but a beautiful woman. Now, Vallabhacharya has also commented on this pastime. You all know, well, you may not all know. Who is Vallabhacharya? Anyway, Vallabhacharya is not in our disciplic line. He's in another disciplic line, Pushti Marg, and he has the following things to say. And I drove this, I don't know his writings, but Hari Parshad Prabhu spoke on this topic, so I'm going to make reference from time to time to things that he spoke during his covering of the Putana Leela. Krishna's birth was in the auspicious constellation named Rohini, Vallabhacharya. Krishna did not want Mother Rohini to feel that I did not take birth from your womb. For this reason, Krishna chose Rohini as the nakshatra, meaning the star under which he was born. So at least both mothers, Rohini and Devaki, will feel that Krishna has some direct connection with them. Vallabhacharya's commentary. Now, many of you have heard, I've heard, consistently Prabhupada would say that this Putana Leela took place when she was just 3 months. You know, a little child that's 3 months is a pretty small child. But according to Vallabhacharya, according to the nakshatra, when Putana was born, or when the Putana Leela took place, it was It's 3 months. That's here. While Krishna was born during the auspicious constellation of Rohini, Putana had selected a very specific day and time for killing the child in a very calculated manner. The 6th day from Rohini Nakshatra was the inauspicious Nakshatra, Aslesha. In the Jyoti Shastra, Aslesha is considered as Gandhamula Nakshatra, or one of the inauspicious nakshatras. Astrologically, it is Mrityu Yoga. We know what Mrityu means. Death. Mrityu Yoga means the planetary combination on that day results in death. The specific time of day, Visha Ghatika, is a particular time of the day having a duration of 24 minutes, which is associated with poison and death. Within these 24 minutes, everything happened. At least on the authority of Vallabhacharya, the pastime of Krishna's dealing with Putana was 6 days after his birth, not 3 months. And consistently, Prabhupada would say 3 months, but pretty authoritative. You do that. The constellation calculation, it can't be 3 months. Question, someone might ask, how could Putana, being a demon, enter Krishna's abode? There's a big sign at the gate of Vaikuntha, no demons allowed. How could she enter? In order to create the pastime of Putana coming to Vraja, Yogamaya spread her illusion. Now we've had a little bit of discussion. Some of you were present for that little bit of discussion. Yogamaya is Purnamasi, or Purnamasi is Yogamaya. And then we're hearing also about Leela Shakti. We heard a little bit about Leela Shakti, and that term Leela Shakti that's in the Puranas has another name, an equal name, Vrindadevi. And Vrindadevi and Tulsi Devi are explicitly synonymous, and they have the same meaning as this Leela Shakti. But Vrindadevi is a person, and Yogamaya is a person. So we discussed this a little bit. What's the intersection between them? In summary, but without going through the whole thing again, Commander-in-Chief, Purnamasi. Whatever she says, it's yes, ma'am. And her chief lieutenant is Vrindadevi. So there's often passages in the writings of our acharyas. Krishna wants something. Krishna wants a costume. So he goes to Vrindadevi. And then if Vrindadevi gets the green light from Purnamasi, there it is. So she makes the practical arrangements. Leela Shakti or Vrindadevi makes practical arrangements, and the deciding person is Yogamaya. So while the statement here is Yogamaya, it's not explicitly stated, but they're personalities and potencies that assist Yogamaya. She's the commander-in-chief. She's the deciding person. She, turn left or turn right. And then there are people that assist her in orchestrating Krishna's pastimes. It's easy to get confused. And it's not so easy to get unconfused. Now, our ladies in the back, you're going to have to get your phone out, or else come and sit over here, because the screen is over here. The screen is over here. If you want to sit back there, it's fine. But you got to have a phone because you won't see the images. There's no fun without the images. Or it's half the fun. Ladies?
I'd like to translate.
You're going to translate. Okay, okay. But if those of you that would like to see the screen, there's lots of space. If you want to sit back there, it's okay. Okay, here we go. In order to create the pastime of Putana coming to Vraja, so how'd she get into Vraja? She's a demon. Yogamaya spread her illusion. By the influence of Maya or Yogamaya, Putana did not divert her gaze, but overcoming all people, stared only at the child in Nanda's house. She is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. She's a yogi. She knows her mission, kill Krishna. This is Jiva Goswami. Like an ember covered by ashes, this metaphor is used repeatedly. An ember covered by ash, so it's fire, but it doesn't show flame. It just shows kind of the red glow, and then there's ashes, so you don't see the red, you don't see the flame, but she's fire. No one could see powers within Krishna, since Yogamaya made him appear like an ordinary child, though he could at once manifest powers like a blazing fire. So in this case, the metaphor is Krishna was the fire covered by ashes. Look at this, another reference discussing the same pastime. Putana Moksha from Garga Samhita, first 3 verses, chapter 13. To ask about Vasudev's welfare, this is Nanda. Nanda went to Mathura for 3 purposes. Ask about Vasudev's welfare. They were very close friends. To pay his taxes to the king, and to describe his son's birth festival. Nanda was in Sri Mathura. During this time, the murderess Putana, sent by Kamsa, was traveling among cities, towns, and cowherd villages, making a menacing rumbling sound. Coming to Gokula, which was filled with many gopas and gopis, the demoness assumed the form of a splendid 16-year-old girl. And then another place where this pastime is discussed is Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Here's what it says there. Capable of assuming any form, Putana came to Nanda's capital disguised as the most beautiful woman in the 3 worlds. The villagers became attracted and bewildered by seeing such an exceptionally charming woman. In this way, Putana astonished the minds of everyone with her superbly enchanting form. More from Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Putana entered Gokul, the residential quarter of Nanda Maharaj, without permission. Dressing herself like a beautiful woman, she entered the house of Mother Yashoda, like a thief. Executing her nefarious plan, that shameless woman, Putana, her heart filled with cruelty and ignorance, courageously entered their house. So that's 1 verse out of the 6 that we'll be discussing this evening. That's how slowly we're going to be going. We're getting like a really close-up, high magnification picture of the Leela and the feelings of persons and the motivations of people. And we're there through the agency of these nice scriptural references. So here's the Bhagavatam has 2 verses together describing her form. Her hips were full, her breasts were large and firm, seeming to overburden her slim waist, and she was dressed very nicely. Her hair, adorned with a garland of malika flowers, was scattered about her beautiful face. Her earrings were brilliant, and she smiled very attractively, glancing upon everyone. Her beauty drew the attention of all the inhabitants of Braja, especially the men. I wonder why. When the gopis saw her, they thought that the beautiful goddess of fortune, holding a lotus flower in her hand, had come to see her husband, Krishna. Now he's just 6 days old. Come on. More. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. A nice illustration on the right there. Seeing that beautiful woman, lotus on her hands, the gopis concluded that she was the embodiment of all wealth and jewels. She must have come to see her husband Narayana, Ishtadev Nandana Maharaj. Putana had broad waist, breast, contrasted to her thin waist. She was attractive. She was so attractive that her closet never entered inner chambers of their houses without obstruction. But this question comes up several times. How did she get away with entering into people's homes? What she could do? She would firstly pick off this newborn infant. But which were not only with cleverness, but it was also the internal potency, the Shakti, orchestrated by Krishna. Jiva Goswami comments, jasmines versus Malika. Jasmines bound together were tied in her hair, making her very beautiful. Her face was decorated with locks of hair, shining with the effulgence of her swinging earrings. She was acting attractively to Gopis Vaishnavas, goddess of fortune, Shriya. Some issues? Audio. Okay. So here's their chatter. The gopis are chattering. Why would she come? She seemed to be looking for a husband. The word iva, or as if, indicates that it was not actually so. Or, like Lakshmi, she had come to see the protector of the gopis, since Krishna was the son of Nanda. Or, the gopis thought that the woman was like Lakshmi, coming from her planet to see Narayana. This appearance was possible because of her astonishing beauty and skillful dress. Then he gives many options. From the verse, here's the terms. Her braided hair was interspersed with jasmine flowers, very thin waist, attractively dressed, effulgent ear ornaments, and a glowing face. Beautiful artificial smile. She was holding a lotus in her hand. And everyone was wondering, who is this person? So here's some of the options they considered. Is she the presiding demigoddess of Vrindavan? Is she the goddess of fortune? Is she a creeper of lightning appearing without a cloud? Is she a friend of the Kumuda flowers blossoming under the moon? The innocent cowherd women thought that she was a goddess of fortune appearing in Vrindavan with a lotus in her hand. They wondered if she was the goddess Bhagavati, Gauri. Or Is she the presiding deity of the material elements, Durga? Is she the consort of Indra, the queen of Varuna, the consort of Agni Dev? Has she appeared to give affection to my son? Yashoda wondered, am I Krishna's mother or is she? See how our commentators are having fun. It's the mood is astonishment and wonder, and they're checking out Putana, so it gives us an idea. Astonishingly beautiful, somehow. Here's Ananda Vrindavan Champu. As you get used to it, we're going to be making many references to different sources. So here's Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Seeing the extraordinary elegance of Putana, the Brajvasis openly mocked the famous society girls of heaven, saying, "Oh, Urvashi, you are the best of the heavenly damsels, but in the presence of Putana, you are no more than a beggar. Oh, Alambushe, there is no use maintaining the high bamboos of your pride any longer, for it has now been crushed." Just poetic. Oh, Rambhe, very soon you'll become the consort of a frog. Oh, Kitichi, your fame, which can be compared to a line of melted butter, is now as valuable as a crematorium covered by water. Oh, Menake, all my followers now laugh heartily at you. Oh, Pambolche, a rushing current has now washed away the treasure of your beauty. Oh, Chitraleke, your captivating form appears now like lines in a painting. Oh, Tilotame, your glorious fame has dwindled to nil. Everyone wondered about the identity of Putana. The Brajvasis thought, is this lady the presiding demigoddess of Vrindavan? Is she the goddess of fortune of the three worlds? Is she a creeper of lightning appearing without a cloud? Is she a friend of the Kumuda flowers blossoming under the moon? Poetic. And again, painting the picture of her presence was so astonishing, very astonishing. And that was the key to get her in to do her nefarious deeds. No Gopa or Gopi stopped Putana, whose beauty seemed to eclipse the demigoddesses, Sachi, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Rambha, and Rati. Then, Jiva Goswami, in one of his sources other than commentary on the verse, he discusses this in chapter 5 of Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu. As a snake puts a mongoose in its lap thinking it's a mouse, mongooses eat snakes. So as a snake puts a mongoose in its lap thinking it is a mouse, Putana fearlessly put Krishna on her lap, thinking of easily killing him. So the format of Gopal Champu is a dialogue between two brahmanas. One brahmana asks a question, the other brahmana gives an answer. So Snigdhakanta is asking questions. Oh, elder brother, why did the two mothers means Yasoda and Rohini, very good. Why did the two mothers not prevent the unknown woman and not consider her identity? Madhukanta, the elder brother. It was previously said that Yogamaya was the cause. And Putana used a tricky means to execute her task. When Putana entered the village, she took a form like a pot ornamented with gold bells, hiding her nature as a snake. Her breasts were covered with tears and flowed with milk. In this way, she bewildered the two women. So there's some discussion between Putana and Mother Yashoda and Rohini, again from Gopal Champu. O Yashoda, Putana to Yashoda, you have become very hard because of many duties. Therefore, Rohini, with steady affection for your son, has been of great benefit. Keeping the tender child on the bed, you must carry out many duties, and you do not pay full attention to the child. One keeps the life air in the heart, what to speak of keeping this child dearer than the life air in the heart. Your hearts are as hard like those of demons, as Lakshmi, by my extraordinary powers, I heard about this son and have come immediately. Just as the jasmine becomes joyful in spring, in the same way my eyes become joyful on seeing this child. My breasts, spreading auspiciousness everywhere, are flowing with nectar. If the child drinks this nectar, he will attain a perfect body. I will become his nurse and give him happiness. So there's 3 verses out of 6. We're doing pretty good. Text 7. So there's this asad antakam and yadrichchaya and agnim ivahitam bhashi. So those are phrases that we'll spend some time with. We already heard the covered like a powerful fire, covered by ashes. That's this image, fire covered by ashes. So that was Putana. We heard already this similar metaphor of Krishna wasn't showing his full capacity purposefully. Then comes this phrase, yadrichchaya, see in blue. And the way that it's translated, commonly yadrichchaya is somehow or other, meaning something without material cause. It's just, voila, it just happened. There's no cause, it's just somehow or other. So the way that Prabhupada has translated this because this is Prabhupada's translation, chapter 6 is still Prabhupada's translation. Having been sent by superior potency of the Lord. That's how. Somehow or other as Krishna sent her. It's a Leela. And Krishna is the orchestrator of Leela, and Purnamasi is making things happen. We already discussed this. Vrinda Devi gets a big assist. And Asad Antakam. Asad Antakam. To bring about, to kill all the demons. So we'll just read the whole sentence. While searching for small children, Putana, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaj unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord, Yadrichchaya. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaj's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed, his unlimited power covered like a powerful fire covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary, but was meant to kill all demons. And she's a demon. 2 + 2 = 4. So there she is, coming before the small child, and of course, the sequence of all of this is a little not exactly chronologically linear, but we're getting the picture of she charmed Yashoda and Rohini to let her do her nefarious activity. Ananda Vrindavan Champu writes, Putana saw baby Krishna as a spark of a powerful fire capable of burning the sum total of all misfortune to ashes. That boy shone like the transcendental flame of a lamp, competent of subduing all enemies produced by the dense darkness of night. And again, he was just like another Agastya Rishi who could easily swallow the deadly ocean of poison represented by material existence. So there's a pastime of Agastya Rishi doing that. Baby Krishna lay on a bed as white as the rays of the full moon, or the foam produced from the churning the ocean of milk. The baby looked like a great emerald sprouting from a field of powdered camphor. Each of these literatures has their style, and Ananda Vrindavan Champu has this it's like a poem. And metaphor after metaphor after metaphor. It's very, very beautifully written. Okay, now we're ready for Jiva Goswami's commentary on this verse. She searched out babies in Gokula without having to make effort, Yadrichaya, since she was inspired by Leela Shakti. Suddenly, coming to Nanda's house while searching, she saw Krishna on the bed. Radrichaya, so it's an important word, means independently, according to Amarakosha, the dictionary. So independently, meaning no material cause, somehow or other. Independently. She just inspired and went. Though the child was death to demons, he manifested his sweetness at this time. She saw him on the bed while he hid his powers in front of her. An example is given. He was like a fire covered by ashes. That she attracted all the people of Vraja is the action of Leela Shakti. So slowly we're going to proceed. Here is Sanatan Goswami and his commentary. It's very similar. Searching for children in Gokula, she saw the child who was performing childhood pastimes, who puts an end to demons, and who was sleeping on a bed. This also excludes Balaram, as the child described, since he sometimes overlooks the demons. Balaram was in Rohini's house. Balam indicates that Krishna was performing Bala pastimes, as is his nature, or it expresses Shukadev's special bhakti, because that word is in the verse. Krishna caused the great power of Putana to be destroyed. This indicates his great power. An example is given. It was like fire hidden in charcoal. The charcoal can manifest the intense burning of fire. So, setting the scene. Did she not become fearful? Like, what's going on with Putana? She's doing something very wicked right in the not only the house of Nanda, the room of Nanda, right from the bed where the little child is. Is she not fearful? Why was such an evil person able to see the Lord? It was because of the manifestation of the Lord's powers, Yadrichaya, somehow or another, or Leela Shakti, or independently. That's the Lord's arrangement. This reason is also apparent later. She also dressed up attractively as a cowherd woman, so the women thought she was Lakshmi. Thus they did not prevent her from approaching. So she's very bold and fearless. quite foolish too. Here's an extract from a BTG article. Putana's understanding is very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is situated in everyone's heart. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that he gives one necessary intelligence, and he also causes one to forget. Putana was immediately aware that the child whom she was observing in the house of Nanda Maharaj was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He was lying there as a small baby, but that does not mean that he was less powerful. The materialistic theory that God worship is anthropomorphic is not correct. No living being can become God by undergoing meditation or austerities. God is always God. So, standard things Prabhupada would express about the process of God realization. So we have just 3 verses remaining. Here in colored letters, Vibhudhya. There's Bodhi and there's Vibhudhi. So she understood something. And Krishna closed his eyes. Nimi Ditekshana. Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading super soul, lying on bed, understood that Putana, who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. So be ready. There's like 16 different explanations of why Krishna closed his eyes. Some say this, maybe that, something, 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 something. You can take your pick. Thus, Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation, just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. So here's Prabhupada's commentary. Here it is shown an opportunity for the Lord's power of omniscience, Sarva Gyata Shakti, power of omniscience, to render service at a time of approaching evil. Though Krishna could understand Putana's identity, he lay there with his eyes closed, like a normal child. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti. Then Putana placed him in her lap. He is called Ananta, without end, and Antakam, he who brings about the end. This was an opportunity for his destructive energy, Samhara Shakti, to operate. That person who is without limit in all space and time, Putana held on her lap. Antakam and Ananta are also contradictory words to express this wonder, or Adbhuta Rasa. So Antakam, Ananta means without end, and Antakam means he who brings about an end. He has no end, he brings about an end. So they seem contradictory terms, and it's, according to Vishwanath, it's purposeful. It's to create astonishment, or Adbhuta Rasa. The pastimes of Krishna have different potencies. The narration of Krishna's pastimes also have different potencies, and the potencies of, he's pointing out, then the choice of terms is to create in the person hearing it, especially if you know Sanskrit, astonishment. It's a particular secondary rasa out of the 33. Astonishment. He who has no end is bringing about the end. As a foolish person holds a sleeping snake, thinking it was a rope. So Putana foolishly held Krishna, thinking him an ordinary, helpless child. Now, one of the terms that's used in the verse is also a term that's used to describe Vishnu. Animisha is a term, the description is one of the names of Vishnu in the Vishnu Sahasranam, is Animisha. It's he who doesn't close his eyelids. But this is the opposite. He closed his eyes. And the place where Shukadeva Goswami, where Sutta Goswami is narrating this, is in Naimisharanya. Naimishe, Animisha Kshetra. Animisha Kshetra is the place of Lord Vishnu, whose eyes are always open. Naimishe, Animisha Kshetra. Rishaya Shonakadayaha. In a holy place in the forest of Naimisharanya, the great sage headed by the sage Shonaka assembled. It's one of the earlier verses in Canto 1. The verse specifically says, Nimilita Ikshana. He closed his eyes. Now comes this 20 different options of why did Krishna close his eyes? And there's different explanations. I chose this particular slide or image because this is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya spending 7 days giving his explanation of Vedanta Sutra to the young sannyasi sitting before him, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And many explanations. And then when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, you know the pastime, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the 8th morning, said, I've been speaking for 7 days and you've just been silent. You haven't said anything. I don't know if you're understanding, not understanding. Are you understanding? And the answer was, I understand Vedanta Sutra very well, but your explanation is covering the meaning of Vedanta Sutra. Oh, really? Then if you understand Vedanta Sutra, you explain. He didn't take 7 days. He explained Vedanta Sutra in such a way that Sarvabhauma understood Vedanta Sutra for the first time. And not only understood Vedanta Sutra for the first time, he understood the speaker is not a young sannyasi. Because he's super scholar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could understand the person who's speaking is not an ordinary person. He's the personality of Godhead. And then that's when Lord Chaitanya showed his form, his Sadbhuj form. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was having his talks with Sanatana Goswami, he was giving an explanation of one verse, the Atmarama verse, to Sanatana Goswami and explained it in 61 different ways. One verse. That's this Nana Artakaya, the varieties of imports. So there's the Bengali verse, and Srimad Bhagavatam is as great as Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and shelter of everything. In each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in each and every syllable, there are various meanings. So similarly, there's going to be various meanings to Krishna closing his eyes. It's all the preamble for what are our acharyas going to say? Why did Krishna close his eyes? There's a long list. Some say that Krishna closed his eyes because he didn't like to see the face of Putana. who had killed so many children and who had now come to kill him. Others say that something extraordinary was being dictated to her, and in order to give her assurance, Krishna closed his eyes so that she would not be frightened. Others say Krishna appeared to kill the demons and give protection to the devotees, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Pritranaya Sadhunam, etc. The first demon to be killed was a woman. Krishna was obliged to kill the demon Putana, and because the killing of a woman is forbidden according to Vedic Shastra, he could not help but close his eyes. Then there's another interpretation. Krishna closed his eyes because he simply took Putana to be his nurse. Putana came to Krishna just to offer her breast for the Lord to suck. Krishna is so merciful that even though he knew Putana was there to kill him, he took her as his nurse or mother. And then there's more options. Take your pick. He closed his eyes in order to show fear of her by acting like a small child, or in order to avoid seeing such an evil person, or to avoid overpowering her with his glance, or in order to hide his embarrassment for killing a woman, similar as the other one, even though she would be greatly benefited since he was an ocean of good qualities, in order to avoid seeing the ghastliness of her death. And that's not it. There's more. Here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He's got his list. To show his fearfulness as a small child, to avoid seeing such an inauspicious person, no cheating can remain in front of the vision of the Lord, and to avoid making the violence become auspicious by the touch of his auspicious glance. That's pretty creative, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Or the Lord would have felt embarrassed to kill the lady who had shown the mood of a nurse, mood of a mother. He wanted to avoid that embarrassment and to avoid shame of killing a woman, acting as a mother, to avoid seeing the inauspiciousness of Putana's death. Now comes another nice one. This is compliments of Hari Parshad Prabhu, taking Hari Suri's rendering of why Krishna closed his eyes. Krishna was thinking, if I look at her with compassion, she'll become fully purified. And if I look at her with anger, she'll be burned to ashes. So better I don't look at her at all. Anyway, I look at her, the purpose of the Leela will not be fulfilled, so best if I close my eyes. So here's yet another from an author who is a commentator from the Nimbarka Sampradaya. It is indicated by the Lord here that even if one worships him with deceit, the Lord can still become controlled by such a person. Interesting. In the pastime of Trinavarta, the Lord became so heavy that even Mother Yashoda wasn't able to pick him up or keep him on her lap. When the Lord wants, he becomes so heavy that nobody is able to pick him up, what to speak of feeding him milk. Although the term used in this verse is Ananta, he nevertheless allowed himself to be picked up on the lap of Putana. The reason Sri Shuka Shuddhi gives is this. Somebody may be very deceitful, but if that deceiver worshipped the Supreme Lord in the mood of a mother, the Lord becomes controlled by such a deceitful person also, at least for some time. This is indicated by the Lord here. So we have just 2 more verses to cover for this evening. Roaring along. Text number 9. Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like a very affectionate mother. Thus, she resembled a sharp sword in a soft sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yashoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her, but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother. Like a mother. This becomes very important. What was her position? Sometimes she was a nurse. Sometimes she was like a nurse or like a mother. So there's a lot of discussion by our acharyas about what she actually was and what, therefore, her destination. So here's Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes a beautiful woman is dangerous because everyone being captivated by external beauty, maya, mohita, is unable to understand what is in her mind. Those who are captivated by the beauty of the external energy are called maya mohita. Quotes from Bhagavad Gita. Mohitam nabijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Then similarly from the Bhagavatam. Na te vidu svartakatim Vishnu. Here, of course, the two mothers, Rohini and Yashoda, were not Maya Mohita, deluded by the external energy, but to develop the pastimes of the Lord, they were captivated by Yogamaya. Such Maha Moha is the action of Yogamaya. It's important. They're observing this whole thing right in front of their eyes, and they're not speaking up. So they're under the influence of Yogamaya to assist the pastime to move forward. And sure enough, the pastime moves forward. There she is, looking like a nice lady, but right behind her, look at that feature. Ooh. Putana played the part of a sweet deceiver who outwardly speaks pleasing words but harbors cruelty within her vicious heart. She exactly remembered a well covered with grass in order to trap a wild elephant. Blind well. I'm pausing because I know a devotee that died going on some errand of service at night, and when he was walking, he fell into a blind well and died. It just crashed to the bottom of the well. So blind wells are dangerous. I learned a lesson. There aren't such things in America, but this happened in India. Just out at night doing some loving service and met his death. So she is being compared. She exactly resembled a well covered with grass in order to trap a wild elephant. Her attractive form rivaled the jeweled sheath of a deadly sword. Although assuming the form of a desired creeper, Putana posed as a poisonous plant. Again, Ananda Vrindavan Champu is filled with these poetic images. It's just the style of that literature, Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Again, the question is raised, why didn't they stop? This verse answers the question. Putana acted like a very attentive mother. Externally, she was gentle, but inwardly, she was cruel. Putana resembled a sharp sword concealed in a soft leather sheath. Overwhelmed by Putana's influence, Yashoda and Rohini thought that perhaps Ambika, Indrani, or Lakshmi of the celestial regions had come to feed Krishna out of motherly love. Thus they passively watched her pick up the child. So it's important to remember these two mothers, they were present during the whole event. You can say their presence created auspiciousness, but the question is, why did they permit it? They saw her in the room, near the child, as the best of women, though she had a cruel heart and crooked activities. Though they saw her, they just stood there. They did not stop her because they were bewildered by her beauty, since she was affectionate like a mother. Or they were overcome by the Lord's power, since he wanted to suck Putana's life air. Otherwise, they would have prevented her, and she would have not been able to put Krishna on her lap. Though cruel-hearted, she had charming actions like a mother. Vama cheshtatam. She did not seem wicked. Evil persons cannot suddenly enter another's house. They had faith that she was a good woman. Thus, they did not do anything. Overpowered by her beauty and charm, she was capable of doing her actions like a knife in a sheath. It goes on. This is again Ananda Vrindavan Champu. The poetry is going to be displayed. Displaying motherly affection, Putana held the baby on her lap. Yashoda and Rohini wondered, is this woman Bhagavati Gauri? Or is she the presiding deity of the material elements? Is she the consort of Indra, the queen of Varuna, or the consort of Agnidev? Has she appeared here to display affection toward my son? Thinking thus, they did not prevent Putana from offering her breast milk to the baby. At that time, Vrajeshwari Yashoda thought, am I the mother, or is this woman the mother of my child? Fearlessly, Putana picked up baby Krishna and cuddled him in her lap. The compassionate Lord, who is absolute knowledge personified, acted unaware of the situation. Again, Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Yashoda and Rohini watched attentively as Putana expressed motherly affection toward Krishna by pressing her poison-covered nipple into his mouth. His soft, copper-colored lips resembled drinking cups made of the petals of a cluster of banduka flowers. Expert at performing pastimes, Krishna skillfully sucked out both Putana's milk and her very life, which left her helpless and stupefied. So, the next section is going to be she leaves her body screaming, and then so many other things happen. Okay, the last verse for this evening. On that very spot, the fiercely dangerous Rakshasi took Krishna on her lap and pushed her breast into his mouth. The nipple of her breast was smeared with a dangerous, immediately effective poison, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, becoming very angry at her, took hold of her breast, squeezed it very hard with both hands, and sucked out both the poison and her life. And she's screaming, her neck coming up, leave me. She's in a lot of pain. So here's some images. Lord Krishna was not angry at Putana for his own sake. Rather, he was angry because the Rakshasi had killed so many small children in Vrajabhumi. Therefore, he decided that she should be punished by having to forfeit her life. And so he did. He held her breast so tightly with his two hands that she could not pull him away. filled with anger that she was going to kill all the children of Braja by offering her breast to them, his Shakti of destruction, Samhara Shakti, sucked out her impure life. So Krishna has many, 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 many potencies at his disposal. Hara is take away. Samhara Shakti is the Shakti of destruction. He did not personally do this, though we may say a man cuts down the tree. Actually, it is the axe held by the man that cuts down the tree. Similarly, is stated that Krishna sucked out her life heirs, though actually it was his Samhara Shakti that performed the work. No, the Shaktis move according to the will of Krishna. Ichha Shakti controls lots of other Shaktis. Jiva Goswami's commentary. This anger was also temporary and then transformed into the greatest mercy. To indicate this, Krishna is called Bhagavan, filled with qualities like compassion which never leave him. This will be revealed later. Since he was absorbed in his infant pastimes, his Shakti acted on his behalf. All his Shaktis performed appropriately since they were waiting for opportunities to serve while he was absorbed in his infant mood. Sridhar Swami says that Krishna understood that this poison was not suitable for food. Poison cannot kill a person filled already with poison, namely Putana. Therefore, he thought, I will mix her life heirs with mine in order that they become purified by association. That's Sridhar Swami. Very creative, isn't it? Sanatana Goswami. He drank as if angry, since in drinking her life air, he was most merciful to her. This becomes clear later. And one more, we're almost done. This is Shri Harisuri, compliments of Hari Parshad Prabhu. He writes in his commentary, according to Dharma Shastra, she was fit to be killed. Therefore, the Lord is going to kill her. The Lord need not deliver her from birth and death, but still, the Lord is going to deliver her from birth and death. What is the reason? Quote, a person may be traversing on all the incorrect paths of life, or may be completely toxic in behavior, but if that person holds me close to the heart even once, then I will definitely liberate them. This is the clear message from the pastime of Putana. So he's taking the poison, he's taking her life air, and he's delivering her, all in one swoop. Gopal Champu, there's our Snigdhakanta Madhukanta. The younger brother Snigdhakanta asks his elder brother, what happened when she took the child? Madhukanta said, taking the child by trickery, the poisonous Putana put his lotus mouth on the tip of her breast. Snigdhakanta with fear. Then what happened? Madhukanta spoke with a laugh. On seeing this evil she-demon in place of his mother, Krishna purified her of her milk and the faults of her body by the power of his anger, which kills. Because of the slight resemblance of a motherly attitude in her, he adopted a sweet attitude, as if spreading perfume over her body, and then sucked her milk with anger. Just like the Ganga purifies the water from the Karma Nasa River. I don't know what that means. The milk from Putana's breast became purified by Krishna's drinking it. What's the Karma Nasa River? It must be an upstream river and somehow flows into the Ganga. It gets purified by contact with the Ganga. Something like that. So that's our last slide. And that's only 10 verses. We've gone for like 3 hours. It was 2 more sessions. The next session is going to be her screaming, and her body gets really big, and they chop her body because they don't want any residual effect of evil influences to come, so they burn her body. Her body is several miles long, and they have big choppers and put on a big fire, and smells like incense. Anyway, that's the next section. And then her destination. Final session. Many lessons and many, our scriptures like the pastime, our acharyas like the pastime. They explain it so thoroughly. A little, with variety, but there's a lot of consistency in their perspective on her mood, how she got away with the whole thing. Krishna's arrangement for his spiritual potency enabled her to get away with the whole thing because he wanted to liberate her. Very interesting. Okay, so let's see if there's some discussion. It works.
Maharaj, I was thinking about this 20 different explanations from the acharyas.
Yeah.
On why Krishna closed the eyes. I was thinking why the different varieties, because they're all pure devotees, but everyone has their own kind of revelation. Why is it just because the varieties based on how they have that connection with Krishna, or how do we understand? It's everything is beautiful. Everything is nice to hear.
You're not questioning that. Why the variety, please?
Yeah.
Well, there's several things. They haven't identified out of the many variety, this is the one. So they're not taking that position. Another, there can be multiple purposes with one action. So they're listing, it could be this, it could be that, or it could be a combination of this and that. Another is, the transcendental joy that such personalities have in churning the topic. Now, the rule, one of the rules is the rules of Sanskrit should be followed for when you're making commentary. And so the commentary can differ. Sometimes the acharyas take different positions saying, this is a possible, that's a possible, this is according to Sanskrit rules. The Sanskrit indicates it can be this or could be that or could be the other thing. So they're doing, you can say, their due diligence in offering different possible explanations. But my sense is it's their happiness is churning the topics of Krishna. And whether it's this way or that way or another way, Krishna's at the center. And their joy, part of their joy is the topics centered on Krishna churning the topics in this way, that way, the other way, the other way. It's not like playfulness. It's, inspiring Krishna consciousness in different, through their words, through their writings. So it's helping, these, that's my sense. They're enjoying the activity, the service of taking different perspectives and keeping Krishna at the center and having persons inspired to see Krishna in different ways and appreciate Krishna from different angles. And it's not like if this one's right, then that one can't be right. They can be simultaneously right. Churning the topics of Krishna, that's my answer. My sense of why it's like that. Okay.
When Hari Parshad Prabhu explains, especially with Hari Shori's, that is extraordinary and so sweet.
Yeah.
Hari Shori's explanation. I am not there to compare or anything, but basically that is, Hari Shori's is very sweet. That's my observation.
And to take, because it's just a little appreciation on his writing and the service that Hari Parshad has provided. There's hidden meanings in almost everything. It's not clear. It takes a lot of deep contemplation to get the meanings of that's hidden or embedded within his explanations. Often, not all cases, but it's very sweet. It's kavi, poetic. Like the Ananda Vrindavan Champu is poetic in a certain way. It's using metaphor and simile and, nice language to create a picture that's very colorful and flows very nicely. And then there's another kind of poetry that's like what Hari Suri does. It's concealed and there's layers and layers. You have to spend time with it to get, what's the deep, there's the surface message and there's a deeper message, usually or almost always. And to look at the topic that Hari Suri writes with that deeper topic message, it's profound. It has its own inspiration and its own attractiveness. Someone else behind you?
Maharaj, here we are hearing about Krishna, and we also know that there are many incarnations, expansions, plenary expansions from Krishna. So the two-part question, the potencies or the Shaktis that we are hearing today, like Samhara Shakti or any other potencies, does all these potencies exist in all of his incarnations and expansions?
Yes, but the degree to which they're manifest is going to be different. The degree to which they're manifest and the mixing of them, there's a special sweetness that's within Krishna that's not identical with others, but they have the potencies of Bhagavan. So they're present. That's my understanding.
Okay. Part two is, so Yogamaya and Leela Shakti, Vrinda Devi is assisting Krishna.
Okay.
Do they assist other incarnations?
We went through this twice. You want to go there again?
I might have forgotten.
Huh?
I might have forgotten, yes, please. Little summary.
Okay, a little summary. What I'll do is, I'll pull up this, not right now, but maybe when I get back, I'll pull up the slide where Jiva Goswami is laying out this term means this, and from this source and so forth. So I'll just send it again and then we won't go there one more time. Essentially, in a simple summary way, it starts with Jiva Goswami starts with the term Leela Shakti. And he writes, according to Padma Purana, Leela Shakti, the pastime potency of the Lord, has three subparts, Shibu and Lila. Or I was commenting, it's also elsewhere said Nila, Shibu and Nila, or Shibu and Lila. And this is the source is Padma Purana, and this is the Lord's Swarup Shakti, or his internal potency, through whom his pastimes are performed. Then there are other terminologies. So another terminology that's taken, according to the statement of Jiva Goswami, as synonymous is Leela Shakti is the same as Vrinda. From our Gaudiya perspective, Vrinda is Leela Shakti. Leela Shakti is Vrinda. And then another name for Vrinda, depending upon the circumstance, is Tulsi. So rather than expanding and expanding, that's the little summary. So it's a one-to-one relationship, Leela Shakti and Vrinda. So that means the Vrinda has some subpotencies. And then the relationship between Vrinda or Leela Shakti, this is my understanding, not Jiva Goswami hasn't spelled it out this way, but from my reading, the Yogamaya potency personified by Purnamasi, she's like the queen or the empress. And when she says yes or no, that's it. And then Purnamasi, sometimes gets together with Vrinda and says, please arrange the following. Or sometimes Krishna just directly asks Vrinda, please arrange something. But it's to be understood, it's with the approval of Purnamasi. So she's the commander-in-chief, and she has a lieutenant that performs according to the commander-in-chief. That's Vrinda. Then Vrinda has her agents and does things through her subpotencies and so many other ways things happen. So that's a little sketch, the nomenclature. It can get confusing. And one other point that I mentioned before, it's not this bucket and that bucket and the other bucket, and there's never any mixing of the buckets. It's not always so exclusively defined like I just described. Sometimes there's a mixture. Different commentators will use in different ways sometimes. But that's kind of a general picture. Compliments of Jiva Goswami.
Can I understand this way in the Jaya Vijaya Hiranyaksha Hiranyakashipu, how they became the episode when Kumaras has cursed them? Is Yogamaya playing a role there?
What do you think?
That's what I'm understanding.
Okay, well, you're asking the question. I'm asking your question.
Yes. That's confirming.
Pastime potencies are carried out through personality. Something else? You have something? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is about the verse 3, last couple of classes. Parikshit Maharaj understands that he is the Supreme Lord, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but still is concerned about what is going to happen. Generally, when we hear this kind of pastimes, we will know that, okay, how the Lord killed the demon. Then what is going to, how Krishna is going to get he's going to get killed or not. So we will know that the Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But is it because of a lot of absorption that Parikshit Maharaj is concerned? Or I was just trying to understand that.
there's a stage, there's the Aishvarya and Madhurya. In the Aishvarya picture of the Supreme Person, Maharaj Pariksit understands Krishna is supreme. There's no uncertainty. He understands Krishna is supreme. At the same time, he has an attachment for Krishna that's not just Aishvarya related. That is, there's an intimacy in his relationship with Krishna. And the intimacy relationship with Krishna may eclipse the Aishvarya feature to the degree where he's feeling the feelings that he's feeling. And it's just a narration. It's something that happened already. But it's some emotion is being churned by the narration of Shukadeva Goswami. So why is it? Because there's an intimacy in his relationship with Krishna that he feels the feelings that he's feeling, that eclipses his understanding of the Aishvarya aspect. Krishna is the source of everything. And saying that this is just part of prema. Those that have prema, they may be in this category, they may be in that category, or somewhere in between. He's like somewhere in between. He's not a Vrijvasi, but he's not a Vaikunthavasi. Because of Vaikunthavasi, how they can relate to Putana is going to come kill Krishna. It's his heart's orientation of intimacy with Krishna that he's feeling those feelings. Although he doesn't say them, we understand he has them because Shukadeva Goswami is addressing them. And by our commentators, it's revealing why he's saying that verse number 3. To pacify his heart. You don't need to, there's no need to worry. So calm your heart. But the calming of his heart has everything to do with the chanting of the holy name. Because in Vrindavan, there's the chanting of the holy name. Where the holy name is there, these kinds of dangers can't help, can't harm. It's Krishna, but his name. That gets into a whole other. When we get to part 4 of the Leela, what do the Brijbasi ladies do in order to protect Krishna? Putana's body is chopped and burned, but if there's any lingering inauspiciousness, what do? To protect for future difficulty that the body of little baby Krishna may be undergoing, the name. And this is another Harisuri realization that says, just see, the name and Krishna are non-different, but the name is more powerful because the name protects the form of Krishna.
Name protects.
Yes, they're non-different, but the name protects. Okay, anything else? Okay, you got your microphone.
This is from Alpesh Prabhu. I have a hard time understanding the 3 potencies: internal, external, and marginal. How can you put it together as one?
How can you do what?
How can you put it together as one?
At once?
As one.
Well, it's not one, it's different. That solves the problem. They mingle, that this interact with that, interact with that. So why don't you ask, send a message back in the chat box for this devotee to rephrase their question so that it's something that we can have a discussion about. Do you want to, Jivana? Can you pass the microphone? Okay.
Two questions. So I was feeling some scare and pain of how deceptive Putana is,
And
walking into
Effective.
and effective. You said
And effective. Deceptive and effective.
yes.
This is the spiritual world. And she's got entry.
And my thoughts were going to situations in Prabhupada's movement where we see entry of malicious intent. We were just in Gita Nagari recently speaking with Adarshi Prabhu about his experience, for example. And there's some other examples too that were coming to mind. And it was by Krishna's grace, there was a successful outcome after a long time. Somewhere in between also, there was a mention of how sometimes it is seen that Krishna allows the deception to continue for some time. He allowed her to come in and then sucked out that maliciousness from her. So I don't know that I have a clear question. Maybe my question is how, as we go look to the future for sacred movement, how do we address ourselves when we detect such potential malicious intent?
I have a quick answer. It's easier to say than to do, but the quick answer is there had to be qualified administrators. Because that's what this administrative function is, give protection. And I don't want to go into it, but the example that you made reference to had to do with negligence from the administrative side. And that allowed what happened. And very detrimental, but it was administrative negligence. So now, how to not have administrative negligence? You have to have qualified administrators, and the qualified administrators have to be alert. And not all qualified administrators are alert. So it's a combination of the two, guna and karma. We have to have qualified administrators. Now, how Prabhupada built the Hare Krishna movement with people that weren't qualified. And he was very diligent with those who he was training to be good administrators. And if they weren't good administrators, they were replaced with people that were capable to be trained at least. And even in those circumstances, there was mischief because they weren't. So the answer is qualified administrators, like qualified brahmanas and qualified administrators, minimally. So looking forward, your question is what to do, what to protect. Qualified administrators, not easy to come by. Not easy to come by. It's easy to grow, but then what? If there aren't qualified people, then it opens the door for mischief. So how did like Prabhupada's example, boil the milk? Okay, growth, but now that was that's Purnamasi, the commander-in-chief, giving the direction to the troops. Because he was able to overlook, like, one of Ganga Narayan's questions, when do you overlook and when do you say? So Prabhupada was able to overlook some incompetence from administrators. But, as in his physical absence, which is now, he's not there to, step in and so the administrative head, has to be very qualified. And it's not just populating the GBC with names. And anyway, just I've given a lot of thought to this too. Because many of the persons who for years were in that role are no longer in that role. I just found out 2 days ago, Niranjan Maharaj resigned as a GBC because of his health. And Ukraine was part of his GBC zone. So he was diligent. He wasn't like super administrator, but he, in his own way, was able to do. Without going into it, it's a time when careful examination of the landscape of leadership and the quality of leadership is so important. And Prabhupada would say training and education. How are you going to train and educate leaders? It has to take like a super leader. Just take this community. It's growing. And it's already grown very substantially. And, Premananda's practice is medicine. Her practice isn't temple administration. Imagine how much stressful it is for her to do what she's doing. Gosh. So and then what's the succession plan? It's not just put somebody in there. Without there's, drill on that topic and it gets, I'm spending time because it's a substantial concern. So the Putana mischief maker, when we get to the end, there's the Bhaktivinoda Thakur explanation of each of the demons killed by Krishna represents some anartha, and Krishna deals with those anartha features. So Krishna's our protection, but we can't just be complacent. You have to be vigilant. Yeah, that was two questions. You have another one?
The other question is related to your last comment about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's saying how Putana represents the false guru. My question was, so that's expressed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in, I think, Krishna Samhita, where he lists all the demons and their corresponding anarthas.
Yes.
The question is, was that revelation by Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deep insight, or is there scriptural reference to that we're aware of?
I don't know the answer to that question. My sense is it's his intuition or revelation, but is there a scriptural reference? I don't know. Something, you have your hand up back there? Yes? No? No. Okay. Anyone else here? Oh. Okay.
If you have time, I have 3 questions.
What's that?
I have 3 questions.
3 questions.
Small questions, I think. One, in one of the slide where it said Bala, and the commentator said Bala did not indicated Krishna and not Balaram, because Balaram overlooks demons. There was a statement like that.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I just put it in it because it was made. I'll go back to that slide and see if I can find from the commentator if he expands that explanation. But your question is my question. or we share the same question.
My next question is
Does anybody else in the room want to respond to this question?
Martin, I was thinking about Duryodhana, where he overlooked Duryodhana's atrocities.
Go ahead.
the next question is in the previous session you said that Putana could not kill because Krishna's names were being chanted.
Putana could not.
Kill children wherever Krishna's names were chanted.
Yeah.
And then in a sequence of slides, one of the slides said Krishna was angry because she had killed children. And then in the very next slide, where the tree was being cut,
Yeah.
in that slide it said Krishna was angry because she was going to kill children. So just details, I suppose. But I'm wondering, how do we understand that?
That what you're the first part of what you're referring to was something that Jiva Goswami said, that actually he didn't kill children. And then the next part of what he said, which there's no explanation. Children he did kill were related to Kamsa.
Right.
So that's in one slide, a contradiction. So did she or did she not? So the consistency says she did. But, who were those who were on the receiving end of her killing? Then that comes all kinds of questions of what's their previous life before they were children to get, such a punishment, being killed by Putana, be poisoned by Putana. So stepping back from, it says this here and says that there, and there seems to be a contradiction. There's definitely a contradiction. To me, maybe I should go back and clear out for future presentations, clear out those things that are contradictory. I leave them in because they're different acharyas that say different things at different times, and I don't always know the reason why they said this, and then later someone else said that. The gloss is she was killing children. That was her thing. She was good at it, and she was effective at it. She killed children.
And the
Third
last
question.
question is, again, one of the slides said that she was aware that when she looked at Krishna, she was aware that he was Supreme Lord. And
How could she be aware that he was the Supreme Lord? That's your question.
Well, this connects to something that you've said before, that is, to know Krishna means to love him. And so I was just connecting that point. And
Okay. I should be more careful. I'm just taking statements from our acharyas and displaying them on these slides. So how is it? That she saw him as the Supreme Personality. What does a demon have as an understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead anyways? What to speak of trying to kill? This has to see as ordinary. Has to see as ordinary. Has to. In order to continue. You may be powerful, you may be whatever you may be, but I'm going to kill you. You can't see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demoniac mentality covers that. But I just cut and paste and... So, nice catch. I don't have an answer. Now, one thing I could do, besides just cutting things out that don't make sense, that I also question, at least, just cut them out, because it leaves a question that's unanswered. Or maybe somewhere in the course of other writings by the same acharya, there's an explanation of why some statement like this was made. But it doesn't make sense. How could she understand he was the personality of Godhead? And carry on. You're a good listener. Compliments.
Much. I have a small doubt. Is it right to assume that those gifted with Brahminical intelligence have it easier in terms of progressing through spiritual life?
Oh, yeah. But Brahminical intelligence can be misapplied also. Gifts can be improperly used. You follow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something else?
It just seemed a little...
Then the Brahminical intelligence needs proper guidance. Let's put it that way. There's no one exempt from proper guidance. Okay, anything else? Way in the back. That's the Telugu language. Now it's going to get translated.
Well, the question is, here Krishna was angry because the other kids were killed by Putana.
Yes.
So how should a devotee react if somebody is killed? Like the anger is there. So how should a devotee react to such kind of behavior?
There's the emotion. How should the emotion take action? That's the question?
More like it.
More or less. You go to the administrator. You know, the Wild West is you get a posse and you go and attack the person that's the aggressor. And, you know, the proper formula is there need to be qualified administrators. Administrators need to bring to task the perpetrator of wrongdoing, you know, according to the wrongdoing. That specifically, the wrongdoing is killing. So the appropriate punishment of a killer. It should be done. But there takes administration to do that. Does that, and you translate that for your mother and see if that works? Because some people take action in their own hands. They have an emotion and they act according to that emotion. I'm suggesting the emotion results in an action of taking to someone who's in the proper position to deal with a situation according to whatever the situation is. Murder is one thing, and then there's other wrongdoings. So administrators have that lovely service of dealing with wrongdoers. Okay. That's it. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.